Okay, so while we wait for it to actually show up live, hello to anyone who is watching the replay. Thank you guys for hanging out. I see Heather is already here.
Hey, Heather.
Love Heather. I don't know. I'll keep this up until it's actually like live. Okay, there we go. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Thanks for being here, Heather. We love you. So we are here again with another romance reader interview. I am very excited for this one. Obviously, any chance that I can have to chat with you is always fun for me. I mean, we already have our monthly live shows, and then this week we had your birthday live. How was your birthday?
Yep. It was good. I was very tired at the end of it, but it was good.
A lot of peopling.
a lot of peopling, and by the end of the day I was like ready to just curl up on the couch, and then I had a very lazy day yesterday, which was really nice.
That's good. I feel like we need a recovery from our birthday celebrations.
Yeah, well, because other people like to celebrate. It's a lot of phone calls, and this is hilarious. Lots of phone calls and lots of catching up with people, and by the end of the day you just want to go, I just want some me time.
Yeah, please. And I want to not speak to anybody. Nobody even look at me.
Pretty much.
I feel that.
It was good. It was good.
That's good. I'm glad you had fun. I had fun on the live show. It was very fun. Thanks to Heather.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Heather made it very fun with her games. Oh, and
I've already started reading. Hey, I've already started reading the recommendations that you guys had for me.
Did you? Are you vlogging it?
Too. No, but I figured I'd do them this week and just put them all in the video.
Oh, okay.
That comes out next week.
So I'm so excited.
Well, one came out. I read the Ladies on Top manga that Shay recommended. That was in today's video, I suppose. But yeah, I've started the others, and I will read Mariana Zapata this week, Brie.
I'm so excited. I loved the new book. It's not my favorite Mariana Zapata, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe the ending was one of my favorite. The ending was maybe one of my favorite Mariana Zapata endings.
Okay,
I'm so excited.
That's the one I'm going to start with.
Good. And I feel like that's right up your alley, so that makes sense.
Yes.
What's up, Stacy?
Hey.
There we go. Popped up. StreamYard always takes a second to pop up the comments. All right, so let's go ahead and get started now that we have some friends here to hang out with us. I guess, well, first of all, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you and I first started really like talking from reading I Married a Lizard Man. Is that, yeah, okay. So it was like, it was like the monster romances that got us really hanging out.
Yeah, I think that one of the first times we chatted was in one of the Tuesday night read-along lives. It was probably one of my first ones when I did not talk at all. And then we ended up in a group where we were all reading monster romance books. And we're like, here,
all the weirdest ones.
All the weirdest ones that we can possibly find and send out to each other. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where we really became good friends.
Yes.
And nothing has changed since then.
And nothing has changed. It has all been uphill since then. And then we went down the Alexis Hall rabbit hole, and we are still in that rabbit hole, never to return, I feel.
Pretty much.
All right. So let's start, first of all, with your name, where you can be found on the internet, like all of that good stuff.
Sure. So my name is Stef. I am NovelTea Corner on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Can't remember about Twitter, but I'm never on Twitter, so don't bother following me there because you'll never see me. Don't bother. It's there. It exists, but it also doesn't exist. And I'm most active on YouTube and in Instagram messages, and I do very low-key TikTok videos because I don't have the time or patience to figure that platform out any more than I already have.
I like your TikTok videos, actually, and much like Robin here, you have very, very beautiful Instagram photos. Like, I wish Instagram would show me them more.
That's because I don't post. I haven't posted an Instagram photo for ages. I will have one out this week because I've got a couple of review books, which I make sure I try and post those more regularly than anything else. I try and meet.
Do you have a schedule that you post your Instagram photos?
Not so much Instagram, mostly because unless I take photos on the weekend, I pretty much don't take photos because then it gets really it's too dark for me to take photos at night, and I can't be bothered setting up all the lights. But I try and post if I've committed to reviewing things, and I've got a couple of publishers that I work with. I try and make sure I do those as often as I can. And then if there's something else that's interesting that I want to share, I was trying to do my weekly wrap-ups. I did that. I was good for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'm like, no, I've fallen off that bandwagon again.
That's a big commitment.
It is a big commitment. So I try and do it, but yeah, it's one of those platforms where I think I've gotten to the point now that if real life is impacting on everything else, the social media stuff can wait. Like it's nice, but it's not crucial and it's not worth stressing out over. So yeah, I try and do it as often as I can, and maybe I'll be a little bit more consistent over the holidays, but we'll see.
Do you have like a YouTube posting schedule? You do, right? Like I
do. So for me, so Australian time, it's Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. And I post sometime after 10:30 p.m. here, which is early-ish for you guys. But yeah, like I try and stick to it, and then like something will come up and I'll either have to throw in an extra video or adjust something. Just again, if it's something I've committed to reviewing and it's got a separate release date. So everything with the publishers that I work with here tends to release on a Tuesday. So sometimes I have to move the Tuesday video forward, just because of Australian time, and I try and make sure that I meet those deadlines. But otherwise, I sort of function on US time for posting, because that's where the majority of my viewers are.
Is it skews more US?
Yeah.
I was good for a couple of weeks, then fell off the bandwagon. I think we can all relate to that.
I wish I could be more consistent. Whatever works.
All right, let's get into some of the questions. The first one, so this first section is all about you. So we'll get to know you, and then we'll get to know your book taste after. So what is your Booktube / Bookstagram origin story?
So how did I start? So I think I went back and checked, because this question was asked on the live on the weekend. I've had a Booktube channel for 6 years, but this channel has existed for about 8. And I was originally doing planner content and things like that. And then I stumbled across book videos. I don't know how I did it. And at that point, I hadn't really been reading a lot, because I was still sort of like 4 or 5 years into teaching, and everything was a little bit chaotic and hectic. And so I hadn't read for myself. I was reading every day with the kids, but not for myself. And then I started seeing all these videos and going down the rabbit hole and going, oh, look, there's a book. That sounds interesting. Let's buy that one. Oh, look, there's another book. Oh, this would be nice to talk about books. I don't have anyone to talk about books with. And so I just sort of jumped in and started making videos. And they're probably, actually, no, I have seen them recently. They're terrible. So don't go back.
Mine are too.
But it was a really good experience, because I had the practice of filming and editing videos that didn't have me physically in them. And then I sort of got started in playing around with that and learning how to edit myself. And it's amazing what you learn when you have to edit yourself, and how you can train yourself not to do particular things for the sake of filming. So I know all of the spaces in my videos where I've said something that I need to cut out, and I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah, I tend to like correct myself. Almost.
I don't ever stop. I correct myself in the video and keep going now, and I don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'm not refilming that. I can edit that. That's fine. We'll move on. So I got into it because of sort of stumbling on those videos. And at that time, it was a lot of YA books. That were the big prevalent thing, and that's what I was reading. It was mostly relevant to what I was doing, and it was interesting, and they were quick and easy reads. So and then I found some more sci-fi books, which got me back into that after a couple of years of not reading them. And then a couple of years ago, so it would have been just before the start of lockdowns here, I had some friends recommending me contemporary romance books, which I hadn't read, and in my head I was like, no, I don't read romance books. It was not casting aspersions. It was like, that's just not my taste. That's not what because I don't like watching romantic comedy movies or anything like that.
Really?
Like, that's not my genre. So I can read it, but I'm like, I don't want to watch that.
That's funny.
It is really funny. So it was a bit of a shock. And I'm like, no, actually, that's fine. I'm enjoying them. And then particularly when lockdown came, they were just a good escape. So my channel's evolved quite a bit over time, and I'm grateful for that. I think it's been a really good way to learn about my tastes and find things that I wouldn't have found otherwise.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably my
the origin
Booktube journey. Yeah, and I always had Instagram. I started off with teaching stuff on there, and then exactly. I can't watch the movies. I'm full on action sci-fi movies all the way.
I feel like the difference between you and Heather, though, is Heather is probably like judging them, like judging the people, whereas you probably are just like, don't want to do it.
I'm just like, no. Also, they still do. They do all the awkward things. At least in books, you don't feel that same embarrassment of watching because you can just block it out in your head. But yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so what type of content do you make?
Mostly wrap-ups. I do like all the typical hauls, and I'm doing TBRs again this year, which I didn't do last year, and it's having this much success. But I'm still doing them because I find it entertaining to look back on it and go, what were you thinking? And then I've started doing a little bit more organization content again, which I haven't done for a couple of years. And I feel like that's sort of content you come back to every now and then because you change up your process a little bit over time. Like mine hasn't evolved hugely since the last time I did it, but it's enough that I feel like I can talk about how it's changed.
And you might have new subscribers who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's good to bring people back. I try to do recommendations every now and then, but I feel like I'm constantly talking about books, so I always feel really bad. I don't want people to think that I'm saying the same books over and over again, so I've got to really think about it.
I think about that too, but I also think there are people who haven't seen every single video that you made, so I think it's okay.
Well, because I was thinking about it because I'm trying to do the monster romance recs. I'm like, well, I talk about them all the time, but hey, we're going to put them all in one video.
Right.
one
compile them here.
Oh, that video. I'm dreading editing it. I filmed it yesterday. I'm like,
did you?
There's like 20 books in it. I'm like, and I didn't hold any of them up, so I'm gonna have to find all the
it's
covers. I'm like, no. But I like doing those. I've also had some fun doing the A to Z recommendations where you just pick a book for each letter of the alphabet, and I try to keep those synopsises super short, like one sentence. This is what the book is, which I also find fun to try and work that out. But like lots of book content, some organization stuff, our planner stuff when we do lives. And then whatever book club stuff's going on as well.
So what do you do for a living, Stef?
I am a teacher and I teach
little ones.
Of little ones. So I'll use the Australian terms and then I can correct or adjust it if you need. So I teach primary school. So I teach what we call foundation here in Victoria. It's sometimes called kindergarten in other states, is the first formal year of schooling after well, this is where it gets complicated because in Victoria we call the first year foundation and kinder is the stuff that comes before. So they have 3 and 4-year-old kinder. So the kids that I teach when they start the year most of them are 5, but they can be 4. They have to turn 5 by the end of April. So our year goes from January to December. And then the other half of my job, because I'm in the classroom 3 days a week, is I have a title called a learning specialist. So my role is the literacy learning specialist in my school, which is very fitting. And it's to coach and mentor and support people in the teaching of literacy across the curriculum. And so I get to go into classrooms and I get to go to planning sessions with teachers. I get to help the teacher who's currently in charge of the library purchase books. I get to purchase books for the school. I get to spend a lot of money that's not my own, which is terrifying, but also very fun because I've done a couple of big orders this year and I'm like, oh, this feels very awkward, but it's not my money, so I don't care.
Exactly.
So it's a really fun role, and it's a bit tough because I have to be out of the classroom with my kids because I love them. They're absolute cracker group of kids this year. They're so funny, but they're nearly in grade 1. They've only got one more term of school left, and then they'll go up into grade 1. And next year I won't be in the classroom, so
that's right.
I'm trying to adjust to that. But I'll still be attached to the foundation team, so I'll get to be in classrooms. That just won't be my classroom. And we've been working out how that works because we've all said we want to be in classrooms. We don't want to be just out and not be able to talk to the kids because that's kind of why we do the job.
Are you nervous about that transition?
I am a little bit. Mostly I'm nervous about what I'm going to do with all of my stuff that's in the classroom because I only have a 1-bedroom apartment and a storage space. So I've got to figure out how to get everything here. I was saying the other day, I'm bringing home a bookcase that's going to go right where this plant is. Everything's going to be moved, and the plant will go in front of it, and that'll have all my picture books. But a lot of the stuff I'm just going to leave for the teachers that are coming in because it's going to be some new people coming into the team next year. No, I won't have my class. They've decided that the learning specialists, we're going to be out. So there's 4 of us next year, and we're going to be out, and we're going to be attached to a team. So our other title will be sub-school leader, which basically means we support a team of teachers in an area of the school. We still get to work in the classroom with them. We can do things like team teaching, and we can still do the coaching and mentoring and take small groups of kids and things like that. But they're looking at a way of restructuring sort of the middle leadership so that everyone's got enough support. And also the leadership team above me has support because they're constantly dealing with a lot of things at the minute post lockdowns. It's very hectic here because this is the longest the kids have been at school for a while. 2 years. So there's a lot of lots of people are struggling, including the kids, just with dealing with that because it's a lot. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I know, I will.
All right. So what did you want to do growing up?
I think I went through a lot of the typical stages. I want to be a marine biologist because yay, animals. Then what else do I want to do? I did write this down. I went through this massive phase. I'm like, I want to be an astronaut because again, that's another thing that you want to do. And then just because of the TV shows I was watching, I want to be an astrophysicist, except I'm terrible at physics. I'm terrible at maths. I'm like, that's never going to happen. So stop. Like it was nice to dream, and I actually don't mind reading about that stuff, but a lot of it goes over my head. So I'm just like, okay, that's fine. I did want to be a teacher. I kept coming back to that over time, and I was saying, I think on the other live, that I actually started uni and was doing a Bachelor of Media Communications, and I did that for a little bit. And I actually really enjoyed the course content and that stuff that takes you into journalism and TV and print media. But I'm like, I actually don't have the personality to make that work. So like, I love the content. I love what I learned. And then I got out of that, took 6 months off. Because I think it's really tough when you go straight from high school into uni, because a lot of people don't always think
you're so
exactly
young.
What is one, and you're so like, you don't know what you want to do. I'm glad I did the first 6 months of the course. I don't regret that. But I was glad that I made the decision to just pull out. I got to uni one morning and I had just sat there. It's like that epiphany moment. You go, no, this isn't working. And so I worked a couple of jobs for 6 months and then went back into teaching and did a 4-year Bachelor of Teaching and focused on primary teaching. And then, got my first job just before I graduated, which was nice.
That reminds me, the picture I sent you of my daughter's application for yearbook. One of the questions was like, do you want to interview people or would you rather do design or whatever? And Rory's answer, my daughter, she was like, design because I don't like talking to people.
It's totally me. I don't like talking to people. I like talking to friends. I like talking to people who I've established a relationship with. Anyone else?
Like to have to interview people. I know. I went to school for that as well, and it was very difficult interviewing people, especially. It
is
your best answer.
It's such a good answer.
I'm telling you, it was cute because she was like, because she said, I want to do, I don't like talking to people, and my mama does design because that's my job and everything. So it was so funny. I'll have to show you. I'll send you guys the picture in the group chat. But it was funny. So good. I immediately sent it to Stef because I knew that you would understand.
I do. And I love seeing the things that kids put on forms like that. It's so good.
It's hilarious. All right. What is the very first thing you typically do in the morning and the very last thing you do at night?
Typically, I hit snooze and wait for the next alarm to go off. That's the first thing I do in the morning. And then usually it's just running around getting ready for the day. I'm a night owl, so I'm up pretty late. So I sleep pretty late because it's a 3-minute walk to work. So
Right.
I use that as an excuse to sleep in as late as possible on weekdays. And then I feel a little bit better with myself. So it's usually sort of hit snooze, then roll out of bed, get ready and get out the door. And then at night, usually it's turn on sort of my white noise calming app before I go to sleep so that it's on for 30 minutes while I'm trying to fall asleep. But yeah, otherwise it's just usual bedtime routines, brushing teeth, all of that sort of thing. Not very inventive, but you know, it gets me through the day.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I was younger, like in like late teens, early 20s, I was much more of a night owl. And I remember I used to like, because I used to work at Target. That's actually where JT and I met. But we would stay up so late all the time. And sometimes on Sundays, you'd have to go in early if you worked at Target because you have to set up the ads, like put all the sale signs up. And every so often you had to go, you'd get scheduled at one of those shifts. I would literally sleep in my red and khaki back when Target had to wear red and khaki. I would sleep in that just so I could literally just roll out of bed and just go right to work.
Yeah. Look, I have a tendency because my bedroom is just there. That's the living room. Like it's a small place. I'll throw my clothes over the back of this chair so that I can roll out of bed and just grab them. And I don't have to think about it in the morning because if I have to think about something, I'm like, this takes too long.
Yeah.
So I like, it's not usually the last thing I do, but I'll check the weather up and see what the weather's like because this is Melbourne and it's bright and sunny at the moment, but it's very likely to start pouring before the end of this life. Yeah. And it's the start of spring, so it's technically the start of our wet season here because this is when we get the most rain. But I'll throw things here and just sort of hope for the best that I've planned for whatever Melbourne decides to throw at us. If it's over 19 degrees Celsius, then I usually go for something warmer. If it's less than 16, I'll go for something that's more winter appropriate. That's how I
make it
function.
Easy. All right, your favorite restaurant and your go-to order there. You may have to describe what the restaurant, like the type of food at the restaurant, because people don't
know. Look, I'll be honest, I don't probably go out to restaurants as often as I could, but I live on a street and we have a lot of sort of takeaway places along here. Lots of options. We've got Greek and Italian and fish and chips and pizza places, but there is a really fantastic chicken shop, which is just like takeaway chickens, and they do the roast chickens. They have their stuff is amazing. And a friend of mine got me onto these because I'll grab something on the way home if it's been a really late night at work.
Right.
And she got me onto, they do chicken schnitzel rolls.
What's and these things are schnitzel?
So it's like a chicken fillet that's been crumbed.
Oh, okay.
And then you cook it. And they basically make this roll and it is massive. Like I can't actually eat the full thing in one night. I don't eat a lot in general, so I can't eat a full one. So I usually save it and have it the next day. But it's about this big. They have a chicken fillet that's probably about this long that they've cut in half and double stacked. So it's ginormous. And it's just mayonnaise and lettuce. But it is honestly the best comfort food.
Sounds like it.
Because look, if I'm going to a restaurant, I'll probably go somewhere that's an Italian place or something like that. But I don't go out often. Although that said, I did go out to the pub. There's two local pubs.
Yes, I saw the picture that you took. It looked good.
Yeah, and they do really nice food. So like when my parents were like, oh, we'll go out for dinner, and I'm like, really? Do we have to? They're like, where do you want to go? I'm like, the pub. I want to go to the pub. So they do nice food as well. So I suppose that's probably a restaurant. They have a dining area and then they have the bar area. And we made the mistake of going on my birthday, which we forgot was one of the football finals, semi-finals here. So it was packed and we just were shouting at each other. But it was a good atmosphere. So.
Yes, this is the glory of working from home.
Yeah. Oh, look, when I was teaching remotely, I was rolling out of bed at 8:30.
I love it. All right. All right. So go into your music app and tell me your most played songs recently. Maybe like 2 or 3.
I've got to figure out how to do this. Okay.
It's funny. I feel like these type of things are very telling.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be a lot of 80s stuff because I was playing music at my work did breakfast for us last week, and I had to put the music on. So they wanted.
Oh, you were the
music.
DJ.
Was the DJ, but that's only because we couldn't get anyone else's thing to connect to the speaker. Lady Gaga's "Hold My Hand" is one. What else was there? Why is it not coming up? Probably "Shiver" by Ed Sheeran.
Ooh, I like that song a lot.
It's such a good song. And also "Satisfied" from the Hamilton soundtrack.
Yes, Hamilton soundtrack.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so name a song that you'd sing at karaoke, a song that gets you motivated, a song that makes you cry, a song that gives you butterflies, and a song that will get you on the dance floor, if any.
Oh, God.
So karaoke, what would you sing if forced?
It'd have to be something 80s or 90s because it's probably the only thing I know the words to because I'm terrible like that. I'm totally a child from that generation. And of course, all the names are escaping me. Hang on.
Do you have an artist? Like an 80s artist?
No, because I kind of like all of them. It's, oh God.
I'm trying to think of.
No, I'm thinking it'd probably be something like Bon Jovi.
Oh,
Living on a Prayer.
Oh yes, that would be a great one.
That would be a good. Fun. That would be a good karaoke song. Actually, let's go with that because that would be so fun.
That would be a fun karaoke song. Yes.
A song that gets me motivated is "Edge of Glory," Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That is a very motivating song. All right, what's one that makes you cry?
I actually don't know if any song makes me. This is a bit like because I don't cry very often.
Me neither.
Books. So like a song is even less likely to make me cry.
I will send you a couple of songs that will make you cry.
Thanks.
If you want to be miserable, let me know.
So I honestly, I don't think I have one for that.
Okay.
A song that gives me butterflies.
All the
I'll probably go with "Hold My Hand" by Lady Gaga because that one I really, really like. I like belty songs, if you can't tell, like things that you can, even though I'm a terrible singer.
Even better.
And a song that would get me on the dance floor. Oh, I did have one for that. What was it?
I'm trying to think.
No, because I thought of this, I knew I should have written it down. I have everything except I forgot to write those down.
And these are the ones that are a little hard to come up with on the spot. Which is why I like to send the questions early.
I was thinking about them, I promise. And then I just totally forgot.
Would it be an 80s song?
80s or 90s, probably. Oh, look, "Shake It Off" would work.
Shake It Off. "I Want to Dance with Somebody," Whitney Houston.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that one would work too.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one that was on my list.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh, look. Probably even knowing my friends and the things that we would possibly dance to at events that we would go to, it'd probably be Spice Girls, to be honest.
Yes. A coordinator.
Because I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Honestly,
it's true. All right, podcast app. What podcasts? First 5 podcasts that come up when you look at your. Also, let me know what app you use for podcasts.
I tend to use Apple Podcasts and I tend to use Spotify. But I'll go into Apple Podcasts because that's what I started using. So, what do I have? Bonkers Romance, Smart Women Read Romance, Fated Mates, Words and Nerds podcast, which is an Australian one. And it's just updating on me. Boobies and Newbies podcast.
I like how I'm subscribed to most of those too.
Yeah.
All right, YouTube watch history, last 5 videos.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I feel like with me, this could be a rabbit hole.
I've just got to remember how to get into watch history. Oh, history. Okay. So I watched one last night called 10 Best Google Slides Hacks for Teachers. So my account has a whole bunch of different channels that I follow for various reasons. Tiffany's short romance novellas. She posted recently. Bianca Reed's August book haul. Beckle Books spring book recommendations, and frozen banana snack bars. Clean and delicious.
I love it. Last text message you sent.
Oh God,
even if it doesn't make sense. You can give context if you want, or you don't have to.
Oh, okay. I know what it was. Sorry. I think I posted this on Instagram. It was the garden light that I got for my birthday.
Oh, yes. Who'd you send that to?
So I sent it to my parents and my sister in our group chat.
That's such a pretty garden light.
It is so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It is very pretty.
All right. Last thing that you Googled.
Oh, God. That is a good question.
I wonder if there's like an easy way to figure that out. I feel like...
Oh, no. I know what it was. I was reading a book last night and the author was using a pen name and I was trying to see if they had a website. So it was Callie Decker.
Okay. Bookish related. All right. Do you know what a jamo is?
No.
Okay. So it's a just me or everyone. So something that like, do I just feel this way or does everyone feel this way? And then we'll see if anyone else feels that way about something.
Just me or everyone.
Like a weird, it could, like you might think it's weird, but it's completely logical to you. Maybe some other people may think it.
I don't know. Just me or everyone.
I can tell
I
you
think this is the hardest question so far. Yeah,
it is. I'll tell you one of my sisters actually, because my sister's weird. So her and I will call each other whenever a JMO pops in our head. Like, do I just do this or is this everyone? She calls me one day and she's like, "Do you ever?" She's like, "I have a JMO." She's like, "Do you ever like sing along in your car to something and feel like you're singing so good that you hope that you accidentally butt dialed someone?" And I'm like, I think that's just you.
Oh, that's great. All of mine would be weird. So
you never know. That's the thing. Like, I feel like sometimes you'd be surprised at the things that other people. Yes, Heather. My question exactly. I feel like constantly. Yes.
See, I'm not so much about the butt dialing, but if I'm singing along and I actually manage to hit a note properly, I'm like, oh, I wish someone had seen that or heard that.
Who was there? The one
who was around when I was doing that?
It is very specific.
Mine is probably weird, but it's because I have weird food thing. I think we've talked about this before. I have weird food preferences. So for me, it's like, is it just me or everyone that I get really frustrated because if I have a salad on my plate and there's other food, when the dressing goes into the other food.
So you're one of those, you need like the kids' plate that has the dividers so that nothing
Probably.
touches.
I'm not that bad, but sometimes like some foods I just don't want dressing on. I'm like,
so it's dressing specific. It's dressing specific.
Well,
it's not necessarily
not specifically dressing, but recently it's been dressing specific because it's been nice enough that I'm like, oh, salad weather.
Although, why would the salad be on the same plate as other foods? I feel like that's an issue in itself because I'm the type of person, I will mix everything up. I don't care. But if a salad, like I don't like a salad to be on the same plate as
it depends like sometimes I make salads and I put my protein in the salads and that's fine. Like I eat that. But then if I'm having other mains, but it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal here to have a side salad on your plate.
On your plate. Well, yeah, that's an issue. Apparently it's an Australia issue.
Apparently it's an Australia. Hang on. Where's the dinner from the other night?
That's weird because I feel like other Americans, let me know, they usually have it in a separate bowl. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
They have it next to the fries?
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like to me, that's a bit weird because then the fries go soggy. So
okay, so it's an everyone thing.
Okay,
at least some others. Fine. You're not alone.
Good.
Is this normal or am I a serial killer? That's a fair question for random stuff around the house. You shared one.
Okay, well, there's another one then.
In the dishwasher. What?
I was going to say, the dishwasher prompted me. Is it just me or everyone? Or is there a correct way to stack the dishwasher and an incorrect way to stack the dishwasher? I think there is a correct way to
There
stack
is
the
a correct
dishwasher.
way. I feel like there's, because I'm thinking about my uncle. My uncle puts his forks like instead of upside down, he puts them up like pokey side up. And I thought that was a little weird, but I do have like a certain way that I do.
Certain way you stack.
Yes.
Because my sister just throws anything in the dishwasher anywhere. And I'm like, no, plates together.
Right. It makes it easier to put away.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So it's just your sister.
Just my sister. And the people at work who just throw the dishes in the dishwasher wherever they feel like it.
Do you say this blasphemy here? I mix everything up, but I don't know that I would put fries on my salad. Yeah. I may dip my fries in salad dressing, but I don't think everyone has their own correct way. There's 100% a correct
way. And it's probably your own correct way, and no one else's way is correct.
Yeah,
but
that's true. It could differ. There's an incorrect way. My husband does it the wrong way. Also, what about toilet paper? Is there a correct way to put the toilet paper on the toilet paper holder?
Yes.
Yes. And the correct way is that you have to be able to pull it. It shouldn't come from the bottom. It should come from the top.
Shouldn't come from the bottom.
Thank you. Thank you. Whatever. Oh, see, here's an incorrect one. Incorrect, Micah. I love it. Okay. All right. Can you show us the last photo you took on your phone? Or was it the light?
That's a good question. Hang on. There's not many photos on my phone because I've just switched it over and I took all the photos off.
TP from the top. Yes. Thank you, Shay.
Yeah. Do we want... Actually, no. Sorry. The last photo full photo I took was flowers I got
Is that one
birthday.
of yours? Aww.
Yes.
I love it.
Over there. You can't see them because
I do actually see them. Yeah, I see them.
Yeah. Don't mind the open box in the background either. That's just me not having had time to take it downstairs.
It's fine. All right. Best advice you've ever been given or you've ever given someone else. Either or.
Usually when people just tell me it's okay, you don't have to get everything done in one day. Like you don't have to let it stress you out to the point. Yeah. And I get told that a lot because I'm a perfectionist and I like to make sure that things are done properly and I have to be reined in a little bit. So I've got some good people around me who just go, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's fine. Like
you're actually doing it.
Doesn't all have to happen. And it's, because it's a hard thing. So I think when you want to do a good job, you want to do a good job and you want to do it in a timely manner. And I have to remind myself that I actually do get things done in a timely manner more often than not. So
right. Give yourself some grace. Sure.
Yes.
What's up, Megan?
Hello.
All right. Last personal question. What is in your bag? Give us a bag tour. Any bag. It can be a purse. It can be whatever. These are my favorite.
Okay. So normally my phone would be in my bag. So what is going on here? So this is my sort of day purse. Yeah. I have two really small ones that I just hang off the back of my chair so I can grab and go. So have my wallet.
Cute.
Because I have a full-on wallet. Sort of lip gloss.
Oh, the baby lips.
Yeah.
I like those.
At the moment, my passport is in here because I've needed to use ID because I don't drive. So my passport's my ID. And my inhaler. So because it's that time of year over here where I'm actually going to need to take my inhaler.
That's it. That's the cleanest bag.
Yes, but I will show you.
Oh, we have another. Is this your teacher bag?
Yeah, which I haven't unpacked.
Yes. All right. What's in it?
There is the scarf that's been in there for.
Oh, that's cute.
Weeks. Yeah. I got this in Canada. My best friend got it for me.
Oh, okay.
What else is in here? My glasses case that has no glasses but has my glass wipes because my glasses are always on my face.
I mean, still necessary.
Still necessary.
I know, that's it. But see, it's because she has this bigger bag.
My name tag. I'll just hide in school.
Yep.
What else? My laptop's
now we're getting to the good stuff, Heather says. I know. I love seeing what's in people's bags too. And their like search history. And that's why I ask these questions.
Yeah.
I'm very intrusive.
This one has a story. So there is a collection of pens that
That's a lot of
This is going to sound so weird. We went to a professional development session at one of the local golf clubs. And one of my bosses just obsessively collects free pens because I had these out on the table for the professional learning. And when he wasn't looking, we all, like there was 9 of us, we all went and stole all of the remaining free pens and have been randomly dropping them in his pigeonhole since that. So yes. I've got about 8 more to give him.
Give me all the workplace pranks.
There is my DVD drive, which still gets used at school, even though I don't actually use it.
I have one of those at work. Yeah. Because Macs like to not have DVD drives anymore.
Yeah, there's that. Like we have access to YouTube and ClickView at work, but I have DVDs at school and I like having it there. I'll just friends me out. This is a book I'm supposed to be reading over the holidays, which I probably won't read because
sounds interesting.
Like maybe. We've got transition, so I've got to go through and do some prep work for new families. So this is all about literacy and numeracy for starting school.
Oh yes, I forgot Monica is a teacher too. Every teacher has a buttload of pens.
Oh yeah, no, those aren't for me. I've got my other pens in there as well. My planner.
Oh, okay, cute planner.
Yeah. So I've reset it up so it's all nice and set up. I was in a slightly different one, but I needed more space to write lists with my role and how it's changing. What else is here? There is my bag of cables and my backup drive and all sorts of things. Then there's my pencil case.
Oh, here it is. With all the pens and highlighters.
My drink bottles in there, and then just some other personal items and things like that. But yeah, that's basically my school bag. So that's why I don't have a lot in the other bag because there is
it's so everything else is in there.
She says as she knocks her earbud out.
Yes, I bet you have a million pens, Morgan, especially if you're in the promo industry.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's talk bookish stuff. All right, so now your romance reading origin story, which you touched on a little bit when you talked about starting Booktube. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So I think probably
Robin had she's like, I don't know, I have 3 things in my bag.
Well, look, I wasn't far off from you, Robin. My day bag doesn't have that much. And the only thing I'll add in my bag is if it's raining, I'll have an umbrella and that's it. So I started, it's interesting because I was reading romance books before I sort of really got into it in 2020, but it wasn't the majority of my reading. And usually it was because I found either something interesting on NetGalley or one of the first things that I started reading was when I started reviewing for a publisher here called Allen & Unwin, and they're an Australian-owned publishing house. And I'd recommend, actually, no, they'd sent me this book. So I've got my books here, Bree, so I can hold things up.
I love
Third Time Lucky, which is, so it's probably the Australian equivalent of a small town romance. I call them rural romances because they're set in sort of rural parts of Australia. And they're, for the most part, they're closed door sort of stories, but they're really nice to read for me because I recognize the places in them. This happened to be a Christmas one, and it was just fun and easy to read. And I've been reviewing for this author since then. I've read everything she's come out with since that book. And then I started doing the Friends Choose My TBR videos, sort of 2019, 2020. And one of my good friends here had recommended me The Hating Game. So that was probably the first big popular contemporary romance that I read, and I really enjoyed it. And then I sort of stumbled on, and I started looking up more videos that were romance booktuber related. I'd sort of been starting to watch some of them, and then just went downhill from there.
And so you're fairly new to the genre, but I feel like you've read so much in the romance genre.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So probably 2 or 3 years, but mostly probably the biggest input of romance books has been since 2020.
All right. What would be your ideal in real life meet cute?
Oh, God. Honestly, I'm that kind of person who, this is going to sound so weird. This is another jamo. Honestly, I would need to be set up with someone. I would need a friend to go, no, this person is perfect for you. Because that speaking to other people thing.
But what? So would you then need someone to be to approach you, or would you
Yeah.
immediately
I
shut
will,
down.
I will not be the person approaching anyone. I will
So
not be that person.
So what would be a way that someone could approach you that you would be comfortable, or a setting or something they would say that would make you feel comfortable? Maybe if they were like, if it sneakily happened where you didn't realize it was someone hitting on you, maybe.
Probably. Well, I wouldn't realize. They could probably be hitting on me, and I wouldn't realize. So,
it's probably happened several times.
It's probably happened. No, I like, one of my things is I struggle with social cues. So I don't always pick up on things, which is why it takes me so long to even just form connections with friends. Like, I need to just sit and get to know people for a while. So it would probably be a friends first thing. But yes, I'm hopeless in this sense.
It's funny. Like, you're not the only one who has struggled with this question. Robin did too, and I think Rachel did too. But it's something, I think, because I'm so obsessed with meet cutes and books.
Yeah,
I feel like it's something I've thought about. Like, what would me, like, as a like, I know it works for other characters, but I tend to think about like, how would I react in that situation? Like, what would be the best one for me? I'll make one up for you.
Okay, thank you.
Like, what if? All right, scenario. Anyone can join in. What would be a good meet cute for Stef? What if you were in, like, what if you
Probably
were in
would be
a
Morgan.
bookstore? Friends to lovers. Yes, but what if you were in a bookstore? And actually, I'll tell you one that happened to me. You're in a bookstore and you're holding like some books. Maybe it's like sci-fi or something related, a couple of romance. And then one of the workers comes up to you and they're like, hey, I see that you have some romance sci-fi there. There's this book that I really like. I like those too. Let me show you a book. And then you have this whole conversation, and then it starts as a friendship, and you go in all the time. And
that would probably work.
And then like the next time, like maybe like 3 times you've gone in there and you see him or her every time. And they then ask you like, hey, I'm about to go on my lunch break. You want to go grab something to eat? That's your meet cute. I've built it for you. You're welcome.
That would probably work. But I also agree with Robin.
What did Robin say? I feel like meet cutes are adorable. Run away. A lot of meet cutes, but I feel like there are a handful of them that would be great.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one that I wouldn't want is a Mariana Zapata one. It's in Lingus because she's standing in line. First of all, she's at a porn convention. That's neither here nor there. Either way, she's standing in line and she's picking her wedgie, and he calls her out for picking her wedgie.
I have to take back what I said before about Mariana Zapata, because I have read that one.
Oh, you did read that one?
It was ages ago, so it would have been one of the first ones that I read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She can't ignore her interest. They'd have to be forward, but not like creepy. Like,
They would have to be forward, and they'd have to acknowledge the fact that I'm going to tell them to go the hell away when I want space.
Yes.
And not take offense to it.
They just very assertive.
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yes, I do not want the meet cute. Meet cute is very embarrassing. All right. Using your favorite romance love interests, build your own love interest. So like you can take personality, like I like so-and-so's personality and I want so-and-so's like looks or build or height or whatever.
I'm going to be really bad on descriptions because I don't actually, like, they don't stick in my head. Mostly because I can't visualize. So that's why.
You can build personality then.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you like a quirky Alexis Hall kind of character? Like someone who's, or maybe the hot mess is too much. Alexis Hall writes a lot of hot mess.
Well, look, I'm a hot mess, so I don't know if hot mess would probably work for me, to be honest.
You don't want 2 hot messes.
Probably don't want 2 hot messes.
Honestly, all of these are hard questions, which is why I send them ahead of time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And Stef is gonna read it.
I'm gonna read it this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like someone who's serious but doesn't is serious and competent but doesn't take themselves too seriously.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to think of a character like that that we've both read.
Yeah.
So maybe like Josh from The Hating Game, or is he too mean?
Yeah.
Because he's still playful, but in a very like stoic kind of way.
He wasn't that mean compared to her. She was
that's
mean.
true.
She was
That's
meaner
true.
than him
That's true.
because she wasn't listening. No, I'm forgetting the hero from The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I forgot his name too.
Because he was like a version of Josh, but
yeah, Josh Light.
Josh Light. Yeah, I don't know, because I read. Well, this is the thing. I read a lot of Grumpy Sunshine books, and I'm like, I don't need someone who's completely grumpy.
Right. Right.
That would also probably not compliment me because I can get very grumpy myself. So.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you would almost need someone who has a little bit of like an Alexis Hall main character vibes, like who's maybe irreverent sometimes, but not to the point where they're a hot mess. Like,
yeah, someone who can handle sarcasm.
Never asked my favorite anything I was. I forget everything ever. I'm telling you, it's hard. I feel this. I know. I know that this is the thing. This is why I'm interviewing and not actually answering the questions myself. I like to torture my friends. All right. One true pairing. Who's your favorite couple in a book? Or at least one of them, two of them.
No, I've got a couple. I do like the couple in The Mistletoe Motive. I also like Rooney and, oh my God, what's his name?
Oh, yeah. I'm terrible with character names.
Only when it's us. To Chloe Leese. I also have a habit of falling in love with side characters in books, like characters who aren't the main characters, and they're in relationships. So Barabbas and Christopher from the Kate Daniels series is one of my favorite couples. Robbie and I'm mentally blanking on the other person's name from Heart Song by TJ Klune as well, which was just a really sweet relationship.
I agree with this. You need a cinnamon roll.
Yes, but I reiterate, someone who's not going to get offended when I go, leave me alone.
Understanding cinnamon roll.
Understanding cinnamon roll.
As long as they understand that you're introverted and you need your like breather time.
Yeah.
And not be offended if you want your own space entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, if I don't get a Barabbas Christopher book at some point, even just a novella, it could be very sad. They're my favorite.
I might let somebody interview me, but maybe not for a while. You're gonna turn the tables on. I
volunteer.
Okay, you volunteer as tribute. Fine, we'll do it. We'll do it one day. What authors would attend your ideal book convention?
Alexis Hall.
Yes.
Nalini Singh, Evie Mitchell.
Yes.
Who else? I did think of someone else last night.
Chloe.
It's a good question. Who else have I read a lot of?
Ilona Andrews.
Yeah, Ilona Andrews. Yeah, yes, Ilona Andrews. And then I'd probably say, what's going to happen next with all the characters?
Who wrote the murder bot? Martha something?
Oh, Martha Wells. She'd be good. Jane Harper.
Right.
So she writes Australian thrillers. Years ago, I would have said Matthew Riley, but he's being a bit too much of a white man at the minute.
Yes. Yeah.
But I still love his books, but he's just...
being a mediocre.
Lily Mayne would be good. Only James, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Keyboards.
It's so good.
Okay. Your favorite genre outside of romance?
Sci-fi or urban fantasy.
I think all of us who have watched your videos knew that. Last book you DNF'd and why?
I'm going to be honest, I can't remember because once I DNF a book, I literally forget about it. Like I delete it.
You don't even put it on your shelf? Really?
No. So it was probably a historical romance because the last thing that I can't remember which one I started reading. I was trying to read some of the physical ones that I owned, and then I just went, "This is not work. It's not working for me anymore." Historical romances I have to be very specific, and I probably took all them off my shelf at that point, and then went and donated them. So like it would not have been the quality of the writing. It would have been, I'm just not interested in reading that. So
that's how I am too. Tell me about a fun How You Met Your Book story. It can be any book. It doesn't have to be romance.
Well, I don't know if it's fun, but so what got me back in, so I sort of shared part of how I got back into reading in my teens, which was with Jurassic Park and the Lost World. And that's when I was living in Sydney. But then we moved back to Melbourne and I was at my new school and I was spending a lot of time in the library because I didn't know anyone and it was year 9 and that is a horrific age for girls in a girls' school. And I found, funnily enough, I Station by Matthew Riley, which is this one. And it didn't look like that at that point. That's a new cover, but it's basically an action movie in a book, and it's set in Antarctica, which is another reason why I love books set in Antarctica. And it, like, once the action starts, it doesn't stop in the book, and it starts about 10 pages in. So it's like a non-stop, right? And it's one of the very first books that I picked up and I read cover to cover in one sitting. And this book is not.
Oh my gosh, that is not a small book.
And I've probably read it 6 or 7 times. Wow. Actually, I've probably read it more than that. And like, it is problematic. There are problematic elements in it, and I can recognize that as an adult now. But it got me back into reading, and then I read everything that he had out at the time. And then that same year he had a new book coming out at Christmas and I got it and I stayed up that entire Christmas night and I didn't go to bed till I was finished with the book. Like there's no breaks in those books for you good places to stop because you're always in the middle of something, which is it's very cleverly written for that. And like if they could ever turn these books into movies, they would be incredible action movies, but I don't think they could actually do them justice.
They can pull them off. Yeah.
I don't think they can pull them off. And yeah, like it got me back into just picking things up because one, I don't know why this book was on a Catholic girls' high school bookshelf because it is so violent. But yeah, so he's an interesting writer in that all his books are exactly the same. They're all fast-paced rides. He's done all sorts of things. There's 3 books in this series, although 4 books. I never forgave him after the 3rd book because he killed off a character. And I was like, it's such a man thing to do. But yeah, I can overlook the faults and acknowledge them for the sake that they're sort of a big part of my reading history.
Right. All right. What romance novel is objectively really good, but you didn't like it?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably one of those historical romances, to be honest.
That's true. I bet that would probably be one of my answers too. That's such a mean thing to do.
It really is. Yes, how are we going to create the dramatic tension? We're going to kill off a female character.
While I strangle you. Yeah, so probably historical romance.
Yeah, probably historical romance. And like even authors that I know I like, like I really like Sarah MacLean, but I know I'm like unpopular opinion, I'm not going to be reading her new book because I don't want to, like I'm not in the mood for it. So I don't want to give it a bad review because I'm not ready or I'm not in the mood to read it.
I feel like your mental state really has an effect on how you perceive a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so a book that most consider bad, but you really liked it.
Oh, so many. So many. Yeah, that A Good Girl's Guide for Rex was.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I like anything that's just weird and wacky and tacky. Like I'd probably say the Cleo Evans series that I was reading is probably not great, but I enjoyed immensely and I read all of the books really quickly. As long as I don't mind, like I can get away with sort of a writing style that's not as polished and like if you hook me in with characters and bonkers plot lines, like I can read almost anything, but you have to hook me with something and then I can forgive a lot of things in a book.
Same. I was going to say it's her donut shifters, don't lie.
Yes, I was going to say that. That's another one. But that's so bad, it's good.
Right, exactly.
Like there's a tipping point where, it's just so terrible.
Yeah.
And so ridiculous.
And ridiculous, yes.
That you can't help but have a good time because it's that bad.
Yes. Most taboo or dark book you've ever read?
I was trying to work this one out, and because I have read some, but I don't it's really hard for me to work out what is considered most taboo or dark, because I said, I don't have a lot of triggers for myself in reading, particularly in those books. So I think my gauge is a little bit off. The Trisha Wolfe duology, the Born
Darkly, Born Madly. Yeah.
I think they were really interesting and very dark.
Very dark.
And yet I look at them and go, they weren't that dark. I'm like,
I know.
What is my benchmark for this? Because you could go some of the age gap stuff that I've read as well. Hi, Tracy. But I'll go with the Trisha Wolfe one, just because it probably technically is really dark. But then again, I read romantic suspense books about serial killers and whatever.
What is dark? All right.
What is dark?
Name a few authors whose entire backlists you've read.
So Jane Harper and Matthew Riley are two that but they don't like. Matthew Riley has a reasonable backlist. Jane Harper has 5 books out, and her 6th book is coming out on Tuesday, so I will be reading that. Nalini Singh is I'm pretty close to her backlist ish. Hang on, let's get out the book.
This is true. Yeah, I'll see people sometimes, they'll say it's really dark, and I'm like, but have you read blank? But yeah, it's definitely personal.
I'm almost through Ilona Andrews' backlist as well. There's probably only a handful of things I haven't read. Chloe Leese, I think I've read everything that's currently out. Yeah.
I mean, that's a decent amount.
Yeah. There's Ellie Marnie is an Australian young adult writer who I've read all of her books. She's fantastic. If you like young adult thrillers. She did a really cool Australian reimagining of Sherlock Holmes as a young adult series, which is great. And they're set in Melbourne. So if you ever want to read a book set in Melbourne, I've still got a few Nalini Singh books to read, but I'm almost done.
This is true too. I heard on TikTok especially, people say books are super steamy. It is hard to put on a scale, and it's very personal. All of Sarah McLean. All right.
Yes, TikTok has no definition of steamy books, because
if there is any sort of steamy scene at all, apparently it's steamy.
Yeah.
All right. Most romantic book you've ever read.
So this one I struggled to think of, because they're all technically romantic.
I get, and this is a very personal question too. So it's something that you find was very, very romantic, because what might be romantic for you may not be romantic to somebody else.
Yeah. And at first I was going to go with the book that I moved to another section. So hang on, let's see. Let's see if I can scroll to the most recent one. I consider that. I should have had my reading spreadsheet up from the start. That would have been useful.
Would have been helpful for this.
Would have been. This problem. When you read a lot of paranormal romance and monster romances, you don't really get the romantic side of it.
Although, depending, sometimes
depending
a monster
on what it is,
is very romantic.
Sometimes.
Lotus.
Yeah.
So swoony. Lady for a Duke.
Yeah.
By Ice.
See, I wouldn't call that one romantic so much. Mostly because Judd doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And also Brenna is
19 letters.
dealing with trauma. Oh, do you know what? Maybe we'll go with Caroline's Heart.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Book is so
By
good.
Austen Chant.
Mm-hmm.
Or S.A. Chant. I think that's probably one.
And I
also,
feel like
a lady, also a lady for a duke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A lady for a duke as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Caroline's Heart definitely has a whole vibe to it. It's a very like, I don't know, dreamy almost vibe.
Yeah.
I like it. Romance that made you cry the most or at all, since you're not a big crier like me.
Running Wild.
Running Wild. Yeah.
That's the last one I bawled my eyes at. Although that said, there was actually no, I didn't cry because of the romance in this other book. So yeah, Running Wild. I think just because I thought it was really well done, and I related with the character so much. So it sort of hit home a little bit.
Yeah. Romance that made you laugh out loud.
Oh, so many. So actually, this would probably fit under the bad but good category as well. I just read some books by Louisa Masters, who is an Australian author. She writes paranormal romance, and she has this series called Hidden Species, which is just it's completely bonkers. Like the characters just get up to so much. They've got sort of canid shifters that rename themselves as hellhounds, and they're the life of every party, and they delight in just like they're so loyal, but they'll just turn up at their friend's house expecting to be fed, and any scenes like that, I was just laughing, and it was a really good release from the last week of work, and like they're not great works of literature, but they were funny, and like the first book I read, one of the characters is talking himself up about going in and talk to a guy that he's attracted to, and wants to see if he's willing to start something, and he's sitting at the gate talking himself in the car, and he's going, "Hey, so and so, let's go for a naked dragon ride," because he's a dragon shifter. And then another dragon hears him and then never lets him forget it.
Oh no.
And so everyone finds out about it, and they just tease him about it. And I'm like, this is it. Like, I would die of embarrassment, but God, it was funny to read.
I love friend group banter like that. I love it.
Yeah.
A book you used to love, but maybe reread recently or thought about it recently and realized it wasn't that good.
That's a good question. Look, I think, and I don't mean this in any negative way. It's probably things like Sarah J. Maas and things like that. Like they were what I wanted in the moment, and there are still books that I would happily reread, and then there are other books I'd go, yeah, no, I think the pacing's off or whatever. So I think probably that's maybe the most well-known one. I'm trying to think of something else.
I feel like I could probably say that for quite a few YA books that I've read.
Yeah, that too. And I find that with a lot of international YA books for me as well. I think the YA books now that I have more success with are things that are set here in Australia. And I think that's just location and recognizing that teens here also need to see themselves represented on pages. So I don't know whether that's skewing my view of them. Not to say that international young adult books are not good, because there are some amazing ones. But I think if I was to go back and read them, I'd go, this isn't hitting what our market needs over here. So it's interesting, because I think since, reading for pleasure and then reading for reviews and then reading to review, and then also reading with my teaching hat on, like I sometimes have different reactions to books that I wouldn't normally expect. So I go, yeah, this is a great book, but it's not what we need right now.
Right. That makes sense.
It's a weird, complicated thing. I don't know. My brain. It's a weird place.
I mean, honestly, same. So you alluded to this. So is it Running Wild, the romance character you relate to the most?
What's her name? Marie. She's mid-30s. She's same age as me, and she just she's stuck, and she is trying to work out what direction she wants her life to go in and navigate the complicated nature of that, and and family who won't leave her alone and
Mm-hmm.
who expect her to do things, and she's running a business. And I thought she was a very relatable character, and I know like we were set up in the first few books to not like her, and I think it was good to see her perspective.
Yeah.
Because I think because you sent me the other books in the series, I'd like to go back and reread them having read this book as well. Because I really like her as a character, and I don't really hear anyone talk about the fourth book, so it makes me a bit sad.
All right, so steamiest romance in your opinion. The steamiest.
Probably one of the first ones that I read would have been something by Sierra Simone. I think I read A Lesson in Thorns.
That's quite steamy.
It is quite steamy, and I love her writing. Because I read that, and then I think I went back and I read the books that were out in the Priest series. And then I went back and finished Thorn Chapel. So I think she does that really well. And then like there are so many other ones as well that I've read since then. I think it's kind of hard to pick one out. But if I was going with probably the first one that I read that was really steamy, it would be something by her.
That's quite a first super steamy book to read. Romance you've reread the most. If you reread books.
I do. Do I reread books?
Yes.
Rest by Ice is, and because I started marking in my reread, so I read it 4 times.
That's a good idea.
And every time I've reread it, like I read it the first time, I read it as an ebook. Then I read it that was in 2018. Then I read it 2019, and I started tabbing it up. Then I reread it for. I reread it for my review video that I did for it in 2020, and so I would have adjusted the tabs, and then I reread it for the live shows that I was doing for the read along. Oh yes, I did, and then I also I started annotating it the 4th time, so now I actually have notes inside it. So I think I'm just every time I reread it, I add something to it. Otherwise, the Kate Daniels series by Lona Andrews, I've also read most of those books 4 times each through. So there's 11 books in that series.
Wow.
But I find rereads comforting, and particularly when I don't know what I want to read, and I like to read something. Try to read every day, and if I don't know what I want to read, then I'll probably reread something.
It's a great way to get out of a reading slump too.
It is. I actually need to go through and set up a little jar of books that I want to reread. It's going to be very
that's a good idea
for my November project. But it's a huge comfort thing. It's why I've read so many books so many times, and sometimes even just if I know that I'm doing a read along or something like that, I like to read it more than once so that I have time to just read it as a reader, and then time to read it and think a little bit more about it. Because I'm a huge mood reader. I like to just read things for the sake of reading them as well as reviewing them. Yeah.
All right. 3 desert island romances. So 3 books that you would take with you if you could choose on a desert island. Nora Roberts.
I can't pick something in a series because that would just be cruel.
That's true. Would it be your reread book? Like, would it be that one?
Yeah. I would probably take, not Caressed by Ice, I'd probably take Heart of Obsidian from that series. Maybe Ice Station. Ice Station or Contest. He's got one that's an alien contest fight. It's like
cool.
Hunger Games set to the death in the New York State Library. Everyone's locked in. What else would I take? I'm trying to think of a standalone that would be good.
I feel like it'd have to be something somewhat comforting if you're like...
It would. don't know because I'm not allowed to take series. All my favorite books are series.
Get a bind up. You can get a bind up of.
Yeah, I don't think they do bind ups of 10-book series.
Of a 10-book series would be like this.
It'd be my entire suitcase.
A tome of a book.
A tome of a book. Yeah, I don't know what the third one would be. Actually,
if you
no,
could,
sorry,
what is it?
I would take The Dry by Jane Harper.
Okay.
Because I love her writing style. It is just some of the most beautiful writing.
All right. Favorite romance subgenre?
Paranormal romance, or at the moment, romantic suspense.
Okay. It could be both. I mean,
it could be both. Paranormal romantic suspense.
Yeah, there you go. Favorite tropes?
Morality chain and Grumpy Sunshine, they go together. Forced proximity and only one bed, I like. What else? I mean, I like a lot of tropes. Those are probably the big ones. I find them
your main one.
Yeah, my main ones.
What about your least favorite?
Student teacher.
Understandable.
Yeah. Also, I'm not a big fan of bully romances. I don't mind it if it's like in the past and it's just sort of just mentioned, but if it's on page current day stuff like that.
Yeah. Ideal page count in a book, in a romance specifically.
250 to 350 pages.
I feel like that's a pretty common answer. That's my answer too.
Yeah.
Series, duologies, anthologies, or standalones?
Standalones or series? Duologies frustrate me a little bit because it's
really?
like I like them, but I think if you have to, like, you read one book, you know that a duology is going to end on a cliffhanger. And at least if you've got a series, it's more likely to be a complete story that then continues.
Right.
So I think in my head, that's why I don't tend to read as many duologies. I like anthologies, but I just need to have time to read them.
Right.
And be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
It is.
Perfect amount of books in a series. And I feel like you read a lot of series and long series too. So
I do. 10 is probably good. Although that said, I'm, 21 books deep into the Side Changeling series, so without complaint. But I think so. Kate, like, I'm using Kate Daniels as my benchmark. That follows one couple and one big story arc, and I think if you're doing that, then 10 is probably good. Side Changeling probably works a little bit better because each book is about a different couple, and you just get to see other people. So if it's one couple, 5 to 10, I think. Works. I've read a few that are like 5 or 6 and they seem to work.
Favorite way to read books?
Ebook, physical, then audio in that order. But I'm working. As I said, I'm working on the audio. That is my goal, to get better at audio.
Favorite place to read?
On my couch. Oh, hang on, which way am I going? This way. There. And in summer, if I clean my outdoor couches, maybe on the outdoor couches, as long as there are no spiders.
Oh, I bet that's nice. Yeah, spiders. Oh.
Yeah.
I'd say the more the better when I'm reading this essay. 55 is definitely, it's not kind of a lot. It is.
It is a lot.
Do you eat or drink while you read?
Sometimes, if I'm hungry, I'll usually have a drink. It'll either be water or soft drink or something like that. And depends on I can't eat a proper meal. Like, I can't sit and eat dinner and read. That doesn't work for me. That's usually when I catch up on YouTube. But
see, this is why audiobooks work, because you can listen to an audiobook while you read.
I know. But then I wouldn't have time to catch up on my YouTube
That's
videos.
True.
So
That's
I like
true.
doing that. And then, but yeah, like if it's just snacks or things like that, I can eat and read.
How do you fit reading into your schedule?
Because I ignore my responsibilities as a human being. Well, look, I don't have kids or anything like that, so my schedule is my own, and I'm a night owl, so I usually start reading about 7:30, and I'll read till whenever I feel like I need to go to bed. I'm usually in bed by midnight, and to be honest, if something is not done, I have like the main things that I need to do, the main housework things that are fine. But if something else isn't done by the time I want to start reading, then it's fine. The world's not going to fall apart. There's no one else here who's going to judge me.
Right, exactly. How many books do you read in a week on average?
Between 6 or 7, but it depends on the length of the books. So if I'm reading long, and also depends if I'm working or not. So if I'm reading longer books, then it'll probably take me, I can normally do a book a day if it's under 350 pages or under, because I read quickly. But if it's longer than that, then probably less books. And I've been really enjoying reading novellas, so that makes life a lot easier.
Right. You
and
could
sometimes
pack a few in.
I could pack a few in, and I'm just like, I'm just going to read. Yes, usually 6 to 7.
What about when you're on vacation?
It still depends. It depends what I've got planned. And if I am usually I try and have, at least a handful of days where I don't plan to do anything, and I can just crash out on the couch and chill out, and I'll break up the day by going for a walk or something like that. But depending on the length, I can sometimes do 2 books in a day. And that's when I'll usually try and read something like a series. Right. And then I'll just do one after the other, which I don't mind doing. I know a lot of people don't like doing series back to back, but I really like.
Yeah, I really marathon books a lot.
I do. And part of it's like I don't want to forget the series. Like there are some series that I'm quite happy to just read one book and move on, but others are so short that I like to get through. I like to read as many as I can, and then it's also nice to talk about them as a collective whole, because quite often there's things
talking about each one, and you don't want to spoil things, like you can't talk about certain
whereas
things.
You can talk collectively about a series. You can at least say, okay, well, this is the setup for it, and then this one follows this couple and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Favorite book so far?
A Lady for a Duke. Alex's film.
So freaking good. I'm so glad you.
I'm still thinking of that book. So that's
sticks with you.
It does stick with me, but even I think way back at the start of the year, maybe even something like 7 Days in June by Tia Williams as well was such a good book. And I really I read 3 books in that vlog that I did for that book, and all of them were just really great books. And to me, it's wild that I read them this year. I keep thinking, oh no, you read them last year. Like, no, I read them this year, and they were great.
When I start doing my end of the year videos, I'm like, oh man, I read that this year.
Yeah. And even just finding the series that I've really enjoyed, like the Necessary Evil series by Only James, and the Monstrous series by Lily Mayne, just things that I've really enjoyed, all of the books. But if I had to pick a favorite, it would be A Lady for a Duke, because I think that's doing work that other books aren't doing at the minute. And I hope that more books do that.
Do you have a favorite book of all time?
I don't have one. So, and I tend to sort of think across all the things that I read. So hang on, what have I got? So I think in my birthday live stream, I said The Lost World, which I bought myself a pretty edition of it from the Folio Society.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's so pretty, and it has illustrations and maps and everything inside it.
Oh my gosh. What do the end pages look like? Do they have cool end pages? Oh wow, I like it. Yeah.
So I splurged because Jurassic Park and The Lost World were sort of books that got me through year 8. But I always pick The Lost World over Jurassic Park because the kids in this book, so if you've seen the movie but you haven't never read the books, there's only one child or one sort of preteen in the movie, but there are 2 kids in here, and they are amazing kids. They're so well written, and they save the day constantly. And it was just like the book is, because the way that I remember it, Jurassic Park was a book first, and they made a movie of it, and then they wanted to make a sequel, so they asked Michael Crichton to write a sequel. And then the sequel is nowhere near as good as the book. Jurassic Park, the movie, is pretty close to the book, whereas The Lost World is not, and the book is amazing. So if you like those movies, it's worth reading them if you don't mind sci-fi. Like I said, Jane Harper is another favorite. The Dry and The Lost Man. So if you ever want to read really good descriptions of the Australian outback, go to her books. Like I've said in another video, she writes Australia as a character. And it's so accurate. Like because they're thrillers, they're all about solving murders, and like they feel oppressive, which is sort of sometimes the feeling you get in the Australian outback because everything is so remote. So like it's the best representation I've ever seen written. Like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers is a sci-fi book, which is awesome. It's kind of like the sci-fi book that happens to have a little alien romance in it in the side, which is just an amazing series. And my favorite, this one ties into my favorite movie. I was recommended a collection of short stories by Ted Chiang, who it's called Stories of Your Life and Others. And there's about 10 stories, but the actual short story called Stories of Your Life is what the film Arrival was based on.
Okay.
And that is one of my favorite movies. That's up there. It's tied with Captain America Winter Soldier. So we've got these two totally opposite ones.
I know, I was going to say. N.R. Walker.
I read the one that I read that had some outback rep was Tallowood, and I thought that it was really good actually, because there's country Australia and then there's outback Australia, and you have sort of the I would say foresty sort of tree filled sections of the outback, not the outback, of sort of the outskirts of the cities and things like that, which is where Tallowood takes place. And I haven't read any of her books that are set in the outback yet, but I would imagine that she would probably do a pretty good job. And I'm going to meet her in a couple of weeks.
That's so cool. Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. But she's another one who's done some good work. I think I'm interested in diving into her backlist.
Oh, Jess, I'm sorry you're having
I'm
heavy
sorry.
day. I'm glad that we were here.
I hope it improves.
Yes. Outback.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one I have on my list of things to read.
All right. So last book to give you a book hangover.
What did I write? Did I write one down? Ruby Fever by Ilona Andrews. Because I literally couldn't articulate how I felt about it. I had to read it again.
That's how you know it's a good one.
It's literally just like, I love this book, but words.
Right. Sometimes I feel that way. Like I'll love a book so much and I just cannot articulate why or how, and it's, yes, I feel that. Book to movie or book to TV show? Which do you prefer?
Book to TV miniseries.
I like that. Good answer.
Because you've got a limited run. Although that said, one of my favorite book to TV adaptations was really well done, The Expanse. So I can't really complain
JT
about
loves that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good show.
All right, what are you currently reading?
I am currently, and I say currently because I haven't started it yet, but I will be reading Heather's pick for me, The Gamble.
Oh, okay.
By Kristen Ashley, and which
that's a beefy book.
And then, well, it's a tie between this or Mariana Zapata. I'm going to read both of them this week, and then so I haven't quite decided. I'm thinking I'm going to read this one, and then because Exiles by Jane Harper comes out tomorrow, but I won't have it before I go to. I'm selling Brit before I'm going to the hairdressers tomorrow. I won't have the book before I get to the hairdressers, so I'll probably read Mariana Zapata's superhero book. I've forgotten what it's called. I'll read that tomorrow, and then I'll read Exiles after that because I'm meeting Jane Harper on Thursday night, and I want to get it signed.
Amnesia romance. In case you didn't know. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
I have to wait for my copy to come in from the library.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want me to save it and I'll start reading Mariana Zapata and then we can all read it when it comes in? Okay,
yes, please. Everyone save it. Because I think we'll make a group chat and we'll include Heather since she's the one who recommended it to us. All right. What book are you planning on reading next? You kind of already answered that. Mariana Zapata.
Yeah. And Exiles by Jane Harper.
Yeah. Romance hot take. Do you have a romance hot take?
Probably I don't feel like I'm cool enough to have romance hot takes.
That's so relatable.
I was like, I don't know. Like other people have those. I don't know if I do.
I know. I think because I tend to be kind of diplomatic about things. I'm like, well, I can see it from both sides.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, here's my one. I think TikTok has terrible taste in romance books.
We'll just send you screenshots of certain conversations we have, Heather. We won't actually add you to it. Yay! Hey. It's toward the end, but you did make it. Coho rant. Oh, that is a hot take. Your coho hot take.
I just think it's ridiculous. But also, I feel like you guys have seen this because I did it in my TikTok books I'm not reading because of TikTok. Like if you're going to give me your top 5 romance books, don't give me 5 books by the same author. I could do that. I could easily do that, but I don't because it's a given that I read widely and that I can give variety. And Colleen Hoover is not a personality trait. I'm sorry.
I mean,
but books
to some people, I think she might be.
I think she might be, but I don't think it's the reality.
And that's coming from someone who likes her books. I think for some people, she might be.
Yeah, and like, it's nothing against people who like her books. I just think it's a bit silly.
Yes, I know people who are like that.
But look, what I will say is, okay, despite TikTok's terrible taste in books sometimes, like the one good thing over here is that our bookstores never used to have romance sections, and now there is one because TikTok is selling books. So like I can't get that cranky about it because I walked into my local bookstore, or the one that I normally go to, which is tiny. Like it's tiny, and all the romance books were mixed in with the fiction, and they actually had a little section on romance books. And granted, they're not books that I would pick up, but I'm like, that's better than not having one and actually validating a space for people who enjoy those books and making it easy for them to find them. So like I can't be too cranky, but I hate seeing the same things over and over on TikTok.
That's understandable. And again, being the diplomat and as someone who likes Colleen Hoover, I mean, I think anything that will get you into reading, especially romance, and shine a good light on romance, if that's what it's doing, then that's great. And also, to your point, I remember, like, while I wanted to support Barnes and Noble and things like that, because I know, like, a lot of my favorite, like when Borders went out of business and everything, it made me so sad. And I'm like, oh man, Barnes and Noble is starting to not have as many books and having more like knickknacks and stuff. And I started getting nervous that they weren't going to sell books, but I'm like, they're not selling any of the books I read because they don't sell indie authors. But now, because of TikTok, indie authors are like Mariana Zapata was at Barnes and Noble. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like you never would have seen that a few years ago. Yeah. So I mean, at the same time, you gotta
it's one of like my personal preference is I wish that they would amplify other authors that I know had, like I wish Alexis Hall was on end caps and shelves everywhere, and he's not. But at the same time, look, anything that gets people reading, I hope that people who see that as the only vehicle into romance are able to branch out and get other recommendations from people at some point, because I think
and I feel like if you like Colleen Hoover, then maybe read Brittany C. Cherry or Kennedy Ryan or like even Christina C. Jones. But I think Kennedy Ryan and Brittany C. Cherry are like they write like Real. I just think about Real, like, oh my gosh, if you love Colleen Hoover, give Real a try. So yes, like it's not a personal attack, and I just think it's a bit. I think it's hilarious. I know anything that gets hyped, it can get exhausting. Yes.
Yeah.
Top 3 love interests.
Can I go for 2 males, 2 females? Because I got stuck on my list.
Okay.
Actually, no, I can add a third one. Okay. So, Judd from Caressed by Ice, Caleb from Heart of Obsidian, although he scares the freaking crap out of me. Sorry. And what's his name from the Mistletoe Motive, since we used him earlier. He can go on the list.
We'll call him Mistletoe because I don't remember. Yeah.
And then I wrote like 2 female characters who I just thought of, like that stick in my head as characters who strong, capable. I have a competency porn thing going on here. Like that's competency kink. Like just go there. So it was Barbara Gordon who was Oracle and Batgirl in the DC comics, who is just. Well, I forgot to write down the second one. Anyway, she's just so amazing, and I love her to pieces. And she's one of my all-time favorite characters because she just gets things done. She just takes no crap, and I'm like, I love you. I'll leave it there. You still got 4.
I love it. All right, well, we'll exclude Barbara from this next one because screw, marry, kill. Judd, Caleb, and the guy from Mistletoe Motive, who we forgot his name. This might be the hardest question of them all.
It is the hardest one. I forgot you included this one.
My hope is that anyone who does this interview forgets that this is part of it. I'm trying to see.
Look, if we're going to go for, reality.
His name is Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd probably sleep with Judd, marry Jonathan, and have to kill Caleb because he'd probably destroy the world because he's not with Sahara. So
your answers made it slightly easier.
No, Caleb is with his perfect person to manage him, so that's fine.
All right, that concludes our interview. You made it through, Stef.
I did.
So whenever the tables are turned on me, I will have you interview me for one of these, which might be a while because I'm scared. I'd much rather subject my friend. You did get through it. I would have to definitely prepare deeply for some of these questions. And I feel like my answers would change also as time goes on. But this is a little snapshot in time. So for everybody who's here who is not already following Stef, all of her links are down below. I think I have your link tree in the description box. Go check her out. Thank you to everyone who's rewatching. Thank you for everyone who showed up. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you guys. Thanks, Megan. And the next person that I will be interviewing, I believe, is Zay from What He Reads over on Instagram. And I think it is next Sunday as well at 2 p.m. It's in the middle of the day. That's exciting. So we'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.